Hello. So for this presentation, we're gonna do a tutorial on FL Studios. So what is FL Studios to begin with? Studios is a music program where you are able to mix, create, produce music. So like to start it off, you need to download and install FL Studios with the type of computer you have. So to begin with, you have to go to this specific website, which takes us to here. And if you have a Windows, you have to download it by window via window. And if you have a Mac, you have to download it through this website. Um, so FL Studios, it has a free trial and it also has a paid trial. For the free trial, all the features and all the test features and extra plugins are included. The time is unlimited, and you don't need any register or account needed. But when you get a lifetime free, paid trial, you're able to get more plugins, save your actual work, and many more. So to actually download FL Studios, since I have a Mac, I would click on this, and it takes us to download. I already have it downloaded, so FL Studios will come in this form. You're gonna have to install it. It will give you a guideline in how to actually download and install it. And so when you click on the actual website on the FL Studios, it pops up to this screen. When you first begin FL Studios, you might show up with a different arrangement and different setup. So all you have to do is go to File, go to New Template, and you can start it with Basic Limiter.
Okay, so once you've downloaded FL Studio, you've created a new project, you'll essentially be left with this kind of blank looking screen. And just to teach you some kind of navigation techniques or tools, just so you can kind of work your way around the software. On the left here, on the left hand side where my mouse is, you have the browser where you can find instruments, drum samples, drum one shots, which are essentially just small little parts of like one drum hitting like a hi-hat or hitting a snare. You can find all that here. Next, you have your playlist, which is essentially where you'll be arranging all of the music. This is where you'll be placing down your bass lines, melodies, drum patterns, whatever you want, and you can arrange it here. So you can navigate between different panels here with these buttons on the top right. And the main ones will be the first four here. This one is for the playlist. If you click it, it'll disable the playlist. If you click it again, you'll get the playlist again. If you click the piano looking one, you get the piano roll. This is where you'll be able to draw in melodies pretty much, or draw in drum patterns, which I'll show later. Here you have the channel rack, which is where you'll put in your drums, you'll put in your melodies, you'll put in whatever you want. First, you go to the playlist and you can just click here where it says pattern one, or just here and at the top where it says one, and just go click the pencil tool here, and you just click to create a pattern that'll place down on the playlist. But if you click the metronome at here, you'll be able to hear the BPM, the beats per minute, be played back to you. So if you just click play, you'll start to hear the metronome going. You can control how fast this goes here at the top where my mouse is, and this box, in this white box with a number. And if you just click and drag up or down, you can lower or make the value higher. Lowering the value will make the beats per minute slower and will make the beats per minute faster if you go higher. So here, if I speed it up to 160, it'll be a lot faster. And if I slow it down to like 120, it'll be a lot slower. Now to actually start making music, you go to the channel rack where you'll have pretty much like an empty kind of slot thing which is sampler. Now if you go to the browser here, and you should have a blue folder called packs, and you'll have all of these folders within that. I would stick to drums, which are basically the stock drums that come when you download FL Studio. and you have all the different drum samples here. You have kicks, for example, and for this tutorial, I'll show you how to make like a basic dance beat or like a basic house inspired kind of beat. You can select from any one of these kicks that you like. You can sample. You can sample them. You can hear how they sound. So I'll just pick one that I like the sound of, and this is all up to personal preference. It's whatever sounds right to you. Then we can put in a hi hat, which sounds like this. So I'll choose something like this, and I'll put in another hi hat as well, which will sound something like this. So you just click and you just drag the samples into the channel rack on an empty slot. And then finally, I'll add a snare, which will essentially go on beat 2 and 4, which I'll show you how to do. I'll just use this snare. And now I have my 4 main samples. To actually make a drum pattern, I would go for the kick, for example, to make a house or like a dance inspired beat. I would right click and then click fill each 4 steps. So now you get a steady kick pattern. Just like that. And you can press the space button to pause or play your track. And then I'll do a hi-hat, one of the hi-hats right in between the drums. So it'll go kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat. So it'll sound like this. And then for the other hi-hat, which would be this one, I'll do it the same as the kick. I'll just do fill each 4 steps. I'll do something like that. And then for the snare, it traditionally goes on beats 2 and 4, which would be, if you just count, basically, each beat is 4 of these. So you just count, this is 1 beat, you go on the second, you count another one, you go on the 4th. So it sounds like this. Something like that, I guess. But I'm starting to not like the sound of this hi-hat because it's really busy. So what you can do is if you go back into packs and you go into the hi-hats again, you can choose another one. So I'm going to go for a shorter one, something like that. And I'll just drag it in and just put it on top of the last one, and it'll overwrite that. So it'll just be like this. So that's essentially how you would do drums. I would experiment with this before going on to more melodic stuff because that kind of takes more music theory knowledge. So I would stick to just experimenting with drum patterns and different drum grooves and whatnot. And for example, if you're making a drum pattern, you can also click these in. And if you want to go back, if you think you've made a mistake, you can just right click on top of one of these little toggles and it'll delete itself. And it's pretty much from now, you can just experiment. So you can even do the hi-hats. For example, you can do them faster. You can do fill each 2 steps. So it'll sound like this. Those are essentially the basic navigation tools and pretty much just find your way around the software. And you can just play around with the patterns in the playlist. You can arrange it. You can have it cut out, for example, if you just drag back. So it'll sound like, so you'll kind of have like a stop. You can pretty much use as much creativity as you want to do whatever you want here. And now we'll show you how to actually export your final tracks.
And the way to export it is you go to File, Export, and you can either save it as a WAV file or an MP3 file. So you press MP3 file, you can save it as I made, and then you press MPG 3 audio file and save it. Then it pops up to this screen, and then you just press start and it should save. So, that's the end of our video. Hopefully you're able to know how to use FL Studios and you can make your own songs and beats.